Hey, how's it going everybody? Kevin Pickling here, back with another video. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the Fujifilm GFX50s 2. First off, before we get into the video, I want to thank OC Camera and Fujifilm for getting me an early sample of this camera to check out for you guys. So this isn't going to really be an in-depth video or a big review or anything like that, like a lot of times I do with these, or something that I've owned for a long term. But I was only able to have this camera for 2 days. I still wanted to give you guys a quick look at it, give you my initial impressions and kind of my thoughts coming from someone that has used the GFX system since it originally came out in 2017. When the 50s came out in 2017, it really revolutionized my work. For the first time, I had a medium format camera that I could take out into the field with me. It was weather sealed, it was lightweight, compact, and it really changed the way I was able to photograph. I really love bringing it out in adverse conditions. The weather sealing was great. My camera's been covered in mud and had to get kind of washed off and things like that. I've never had a problem, although I wouldn't suggest doing that. But the Fuji has just been a very robust system for me. And I shoot the GFX system along with my X series camera, which is currently the X-T4. So it really complements each other great. The GFX gives me that ultimate resolution and image quality when I need it, and the X series camera gives me the crazy fast autofocus. It's got great video capabilities. So these two cameras are great to use together. The handling is very similar, so I can switch between X series and GFX with no, side effects or, thinking differently when I pick the cameras up. I just pick one up, pick the other up, and go back and forth, switch between them, and it's a very easy system to use together, which is what I love about the Fuji cameras. So this GFX50s 2 has the original sensor that was in the first 50s with quite a few improvements to the camera. So there's two big changes that they made in this camera that I see as being really important to the work that I do. They implemented in-body image stabilization for up to 6.5 stops of stabilization on the sensor. And they also went to the X Processor 4 that you see in like the X-T4 and other cameras like that for faster processing and better autofocus speeds. So I shoot a lot of automotive photography, and for me, the biggest improvement with this camera is the in-body image stabilization. When I'm hanging out of a car or the camera's mounted in a jig, bouncing along the road, the in-body image stabilization helps to take the edge off of that bounce and shake and things like that, even when it's mounted on a gimbal. Not just for video either. Usually what I do is these long shutter speeds, sometimes 1/15 of a second, 1/4 of a second, rolling shots where any shake can cause motion blur in the image. So with the medium format camera, it's really more susceptible to image shake and things like that. So the stabilization helps to take the edge off of that and really improves the hit rate of the shots when I'm doing things like that. So another thing to note with the 50s 2 is the battery that it uses. It actually uses the same battery as the X-T4 that I'm recording this video on uses. So that's actually quite a bit of a help to me because I have a bunch of extra batteries for that X-T4, and I'm sure a lot of you guys do. So good to know this X-T4 battery now works in this GFX. This camera comes with dual card slots for a redundant backup, which I think is absolutely critical on a camera like this. Even though it is at the entry-level price of all the GFX cameras, this is 100% capable of making professional images, and I'll probably add it to my kit as a backup to my 100 that I have here. So another really exciting thing, and what I think is the best deal with this camera, is a new lens that's launching with it. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to have that today, and when I was testing it, I only had the body, but it's a 35-70 zoom lens that's coming out. It's ultra compact, it's an f4.5 to 5.6 variable zoom, and I think it's an absolutely incredible deal. When you buy it with the camera, it's only $500 for this lens. So for people to be able to get into the medium format world for $4,500 is absolutely incredible, and I can't wait to see what people do with it. So another thing to note is the body still is weather resistant, which all the GFX line of cameras are, which is really nice to see. A lot of times companies at more affordable price points start to lose things like weather resistance and other things like that. So I'm really excited to see that as I put my GFX cameras through all kinds of adverse conditions. So having that weather resistance built into the body and the lenses is really a big plus for me. It really is crazy that they were able to fit IBIS in such a compact body. You can see this GFX 100 that I normally shoot on. It's massive, and it was tough, I know, to fit the IBIS mechanism inside a body this size. So it really is crazy what Fujifilm has been able to do in the last few years and advance the technology to fit it in a body this tiny. So I took this camera out for one shoot. Like I said, I only had it for a couple days. I wasn't able to keep it and test it as long as I would like, but hopefully I'll get another sample of it eventually in the future. But I took it over to my friend's hot rod shop where he was building a car, and I really wanted to put it through its paces, testing it, trying the autofocus in low light, and really trying to see the improvements that they made over the original camera. I was shooting in a really low light situation, sometimes almost pitch black. I was shooting with the 110mm f2 and the 32-64, and I also added a couple Godox flashes in there to see how the camera would react with that. All right, let's take a look at some of these sample images and my initial thoughts. First thing I noticed right away when I was using this camera is definitely the improved autofocus and the overall speed of the camera. It just felt a lot more snappy in my hands than I remember with the old 50s, and overall it was just a better user experience handling and shooting the camera. If you're trying to shoot anything that's fast moving, sports and actions, and things that requires fast tracking autofocus, I would definitely still recommend the 100S or the 100 over this camera. Another big thing I noticed using this camera is just overall slight tweaks to the ergonomics of the body. It just feels much better in the hands than the original. As with all my Fuji cameras, the Godox flashes work seamlessly. I love being able to just pop the transmitter on top of the camera and have full control over my entire lighting system. If you've been thinking about stepping into the medium format game, this might be the time to check it out for you. I definitely suggest to go down to your local dealer, handle the camera, take some test shots with it, and check them out, and I guarantee you'll be blown away by the files. Once again, I want to thank OC Camera for getting me this early, and I'm going to leave a link for them in the description below. I hope you guys enjoyed checking out a first look at this GFX50s too. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.